I don't think anyone's going to complain if I start this live stream like, I don't know, 45 seconds early. What's up, everybody? Welcome to That Nintendo Show. It has been way too long since I've been able to upload, and I'm so happy to be able to be back and make content for you again now that the holiday season's over. So, you may have missed it. I don't know. But there's been a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 leaks happening in the past however long I've been gone. We'll say 2 months. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But first off, just I've missed everyone. I'm glad to be able to be back and doing this again. And hopefully we're going to be on a consistent upload schedule. So if you're not able to catch this live video, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but I'll do my best to scrunch all of this into a decently sized YouTube video, and you'll be able to watch it on your own time. So, like I said, there's been a ton of Nintendo Switch 2 leaks from things like the whole motherboard's been out there, the joycons are out there, pretty much everything. I've kind of tried to do my best to streamline all this information that we're going to go over in this video. Real quick though, before I get started, we're going to be looking at a lot of like renders and other things that people online have created. So I'm going to go ahead and just shout out some of these people because I am going to reference their renders and everything in this video. So Cardinal H and Hertzburst on Reddit for the renders of the Switch 2 and the UI that we're going to be looking at here in a little bit, as well as if you hear this beautiful music playing in the background, this is by a YouTube channel called Lo-Fied. It's a Legend of Zelda Lo-Fi channel, and I really appreciate having this beautiful music playing in the background of this video. So before we get too far in the weeds with the leaks, there's actually only 3 things that we know confirmed about the Switch 2. That it is going to be announced before the end of March, or by the end of March, so we're getting close to when it's officially going to come out, and that we're going to be able to use our same Nintendo account, so your purchases will carry over, hopefully, from Switch 1 to Switch 2, as well as the Nintendo Switch Online. And then finally, it will be backwards compatible with Switch 1 games. So hopefully, if you're an all-digital guy like myself, or you've got physical carts, you'll be able to carry over most, if not all, of your games onto the next system. So really, pretty much the big thing here is, let's go ahead and just start with these Joy-Con leaks. So this is the first official image of a Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con that has come out into the open. Let's see. KMG Animation, what's going on? Glad to have you here. So anyway, yeah, this is the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Con. This is the side piece, obviously, that's going to connect to the Switch. One of the things we do know about it is that it is going to be magnetically attached to it. And I'm going to do my best to kind of like hover my mouse over this. And poor hindsight, I did not make my mouse bigger or put like a little circle around it, so you just have to bear with me on this. But pretty much the big thing here is that you've got bigger SL, SR buttons on here. So for people with monster hands like I do, be a little bit easier to hold it. And we'll go over, there's another picture in here that's going to actually compare the 2 Joy-Cons side by side. I'm going to make it a little bit easier to see this. This thing in the middle here, we'll come back to this. This is actually kind of a big deal to a lot of people. We've got our new pair button here. And then I don't know what this little pad on the bottom and on the top is. Everyone thinks that this little pad is the magnetic release for the back of the Joy-Con here. No clue for sure what that actually is going to be. This middle piece is going to be the magnetic adapter that snaps the Switch Joy-Con into the Switch 2. And then the best thing that people have come up with for this other thing here in the center is that this is actually kind of like the same thing that is on the bottom of a mouse. I don't know if it's going to show up well on my camera or not, but it's like the little red laser thing that keeps track of where your mouse is. So people think that this is going to be something that will allow the mouse or the Joy-Con to be used like a mouse for certain types of games. Very interesting concept, but I don't know. It's Nintendo, so I'm pretty sure that they will figure something out with it. But yeah. Crispy Acorn, what's up? Glad to have you back in here, man. Our next picture here is just the back of it. There's a lot of like serial numbers and everything on this picture here. And it is confirmed that if you were to type that serial number into Nintendo's website, it does come back as a registered product. So that kind of leads into the part about this being a legit thing. Also, Neon Blue's back. Unfortunately, Neon Red did not make the jump to the next system, if this is legit. We'll come back to the other color in just a second. But really different, like, angled triggers on the back of it. Really hoping that they're going to be analog triggers, but we don't know for sure. This is a pretty good picture here that this shows you the size difference. Of course, the Switch 2 is supposed to be bigger than the Switch 1, but a lot of little differences here to showing how like the rail system works on the Switch 1 versus how what we're getting on the new one. And they've really crammed just a lot of stuff into this new Joy-Con. So really hopefully we're going to get a big just blowout press conference that just shows us everything that this is capable of, but we'll see. This kind of is everything. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. Some of this stuff is questionable. Mostly going to be this picture of the Switch 2 in the bottom left. We'll come back to that. Digital Foundry's done like a pretty good like comparison of like, I guess they could look at this stuff and tell you exactly how powerful the Switch is. Goes above my head. I like to think that I'm kind of a tech guy, but like they somehow figured it out and I couldn't. But supposedly PS4 level of power. Hopefully that it gets a little more power whenever it's docked. People are, you know, everything's been about like NVIDIA's like DLSS and everything like that. So hopefully that will help boost the performance of the system. So that way it will be able to, like, I don't know, just have a longer shelf life. Because you think about, as we've gotten further into the Switch generation, a lot of those like ports getting brought over just didn't come out as well as the stuff that we got at the beginning of it. Dash says, that Nintendo show, the mouse mode makes me so excited because it doesn't take away from the core experience. It's just another trick up its sleeve. I think if anything, it could improve tabletop mode. I think it's got a lot of utility with it, honestly, because I mean, people are talking about like, oh yeah, Mario Paint would be something cool that they could bring back, which I like to draw and stuff like that, but who knows exactly how much of a utility it would be for stuff like on that level. But it does really open up like a whole new just can of worms about like what they could do for like new games and new modes and stuff like that. One of the other things that's new, of course, we got a picture of the back of the dock, which we'll spend a little bit more time talking about here in a little bit. But I don't know if I'd say I'm disappointed or not, but it does still have USB-A on the side of it, where in a world where everything is shifting to USB-C. So I'm a little disappointed in that. Supposedly still has USB-C to power the system as long as it's an HDMI and Ethernet on the back of it. Lots of exterior porting for ventilation, which is really nice. And not really much else to say. It is a little bit different shape though, which some of the renders will come back to. Showed that the Switch 2 actually isn't like completely concealed within the dock. It actually sticks up a little bit. Dash said it almost reminds me of a stylus. Yeah, I could see that. Our next image was one with the orange on it. The other color for the other Joy-Con is allegedly going to be orange. So our colors are like Portal colors. So it's like your blue and orange on there. And we have a new button that's below the home button that just says C on it, which I have no clue what this is. My best guess is that it stands for connect, but connect to what? Because some people are like, yeah, you can, the main hardware is in the dock, so you could do split screen, kind of like DS type stuff, or there's a USB-C on the top of the system, so you can connect accessories and utilize them through that. I have no idea. No idea what this could be, and I'm actually really interested to see if you guys have any guesses about what this type of port is. But while you type up any guesses, the next image we have is of the system itself. This image is severely like cut out and cropped. You might have seen other versions of this picture that have a background on it, and supposedly the background's AI generated, which some people question, well, if that's AI generated, then that means that maybe this is AI generated. I don't know. This is the one I'm just kind of questioning whether it's legit or not. It looks real. The connector in the middle lines up perfectly with the Joy-Con. But my biggest question with that is that looks easily breakable. So I hopefully it's more protected than it looks like in this photo, but we'll have to see on that one. Let's see. Another render of the Joy-Con just showing off all of the colors and everything like that. Only thing else I've seen is that maybe that the icons on the buttons are colored also, but I'm still kind of questioning whether I like this. Like, I feel like I would just prefer for it to be matte black instead of having all of this going on with it too. I don't know what you guys think about all that too, but like the neon red and blue was just iconic. This is, I don't know. I question how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Some of the other stuff, let's see what we got. I wrote down a lot of notes. There's been a lot of stuff. Like, as I've been like going through all this, it's like, oh my gosh, like I took 2 months off for the holidays and Nintendo didn't reveal anything officially, but it's just like, good grief. There's so much stuff. One last thing with the Joy-Cons, I think is, we've talked about it before on here, but it does have Hall effect sticks, allegedly. So you hopefully won't have any Joy-Con drift going forward, which I think is going to be really nice. Let's see what else we got. This is another render. A lot of these renders we're going to see are again by a user on Reddit named Cardinal H. This is kind of what I was talking about, like where the buttons on both sides are color coded with everything else. I think it looks better this way. Hopefully, though, in my personal opinion, that they just have one that's all black, because the orange, at least to me, is a little distracting. The blue on the inside is too, but I think I really won't notice it as much. But it's, I'm going to really enjoy just how much bigger the system itself is, especially the Joy-Cons, because, let me see if I can grab it here. Oh, well, I can't get it. Maybe. Jeez. This is tiny. I have monster hands, and this little thing just ain't cutting it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I question it. I'm really curious what the C button is. Like, is that like a real thing? And if it is, what does it do? Also, this render kind of has where we were looking at, let's go back to this one. This little pad down here that's blue on this render, and I don't know if this is just an artistic touch or what, but that kind of has like a reflective coating on it, like it's like it actually is a magnet on there, which that makes sense. So the top one would release this top magnet because of the button on the back, and then that one just pulls off. I don't know. Maybe that would work. Very curious to see how this is going to play out, though, because this is just like, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff to unpack with this. I already talked about the dock a little bit. This is just a rendering of what that dock could look like. Everything other than the little bit of color on the Joy-Con seems to be in a matte black finish. And as I was saying, it looks like the screen isn't completely concealed behind the dock, which may be good or bad. If you'll recall, when the Switch first came out, there were a lot of people talking about how their Switch screens were getting scratched because of the dock. So maybe this is part of how you mitigate that, or it's just aesthetically pleasing. I have seen people comment saying that they think that while the system is docked, that it will like put like a display across the top to kind of like show you like what game you're playing. I feel like that's very distracting. I'd way more prefer for my screen just to stay completely blacked out in the middle of this process. But and then the logo, who knows if that's the real logo or not. Like it's so like, I know the system is going to probably be called Switch 2, and this is exactly what that logo should look like, but like, it just seems so bland. All right, and then this is the one using the thumbnail again. Thank you, Cardinal, for posting this image online. Yeah, just, it's a Switch. It's a Switch that's more powerful. Surprise. The renders really only go so far about like what we're going to be expecting with this. I think that Nintendo always has some kind of like surprise up their sleeve, and like maybe the big gimmick is the mouse pointer controls. Maybe there's something else that we don't know about in here. But I think to a lot of us like core Nintendo fans, it really comes down to it can play future games, because we've come to a point where the Switch 1 just can't handle it anymore. It's just here. And like even first party games struggle on the current Switch. So I don't know if it's all we needed was just more power under the hood, or we needed the DLSS that's coming with the new Nvidia chip to make what we want to happen. But hopefully this one will be able to at least get one good Pokemon game that runs at a stable frame rate. I went back to play Scarlet and Violet just a little bit in my little bit of my off time here, and just I can't get over just how just bad bad those games just run. Joy-Cons at CES from an accessories third party. We are going to talk about some accessory stuff. Good to know that they did have some of that revealed at CES. I've been following CES very slightly, because my idea was that, okay, Nvidia came out and said that, okay, here's our new graphics cards, here's our new whatever. It's like, okay, Nvidia has shown off their 2025 tech, so where's Nintendo? Like, they're the missing piece with all this. This is a mock-up someone did. I believe this was, let me go back, I want to make sure I'm giving credit where it's due. I think this was Hertzburst on Reddit that came up with this, or it was Nintendo. There was a rumor about how the UI had a little more character to it, and it looked something similar to the Wii U home menu, which this kind of falls into all of those categories. And I like this. I actually probably, I don't know if I fall into a category of like a small category or not, but I actually really like the Wii U menu. It was like the Wii menu, but better. And I kind of wish the Switch had followed along with that, but I know why they didn't. Just because they were trying to, this system don't have a lot of RAM, and they just need to conceal things. This looks really nice. Hopefully everything on the screen comes out at some point. Doubtful, but it might. Elden Ring on the Switch 2. They'll go kind of nuts. We know that eventually Call of Duty will be on the Switch, whether it's Black Ops 6 or whatever's coming out next. I could talk about that for forever. Let's not go down there. Doom, Final Fantasy. I don't know what that one on the bottom right is, but everything else looks pretty much the exact same. On this screen, something I actually just noticed is that little C button down here, they have labeled as chat. So maybe the C button is for some kind of like built-in social platform, whether it's just finally bringing it up to the Xbox 360 era of having native voice chat and text channels and stuff, or they do their own thing, or they pair with Discord or whatever they decide to do. This is labeled as chat. So we'll run with it. That is now the chat button until proven otherwise, unless you guys have any better ideas. And then the last little bit I've got this on pictures wise here is just like accessories. So a lot of this has just been leaked on like Amazon Japan. And we'll go over some other ones here, but I actually just want to take a second and let's zoom in, hopefully, to what we got going on the top. Now, of course, this is just a placeholder image. This isn't like an official Nintendo whatever, but we know for a fact that we've got like power and volume. We've got ventilation across the top. And then I'm still really curious about like the USB-C across the top here. Cause like, is it just going to be for charging, or if they figured something else out? And I have yet to decide how I feel about the kickstand, because this type of kickstand design is what we're going to be seeing on the system when it's not in a case. And I'm just so used to my Switch OLED now. Like, I feel like they nailed the design with the OLED. And they're making changes, which is fine. Change is inevitable. But the kickstand was just so good. Man, I don't know. I'm hopefully, I mean, anything's going to be better than the Switch 1 kickstand. That's for sure. Because that thing was just a piece of junk. But we got another picture of this design here showing just kind of like how grippy it is. I have a little bit of like a little ergonomic on the back with the grip. Again, there's a lot, but also not a lot. Because like everything is just kind of out there and we just don't, or just waiting for Nintendo to do something. Supposedly, according to the internet, which is you guys and everyone else, tomorrow, January 8th, is the reveal trailer. I don't believe it, because there was no way that Nintendo is going to drop a Switch 2 video on my birthday and the stars don't align in that kind of way. And maybe me saying it like this will manifest it into happening, but everyone was already kind of just like expecting something to come out. And there was a trailer for Donkey Kong Country Returns out today that's gotten everyone like, well, that was the announcement. But who knows? Who knows what's going to go on? Let's see. Christopher says, at this point, I'm most excited to see what they do with the software, operating system, and updates to the store and online functions. Same. I just want to be able to open my eShop on my Switch 2 and don't have to wait 5 minutes for everything to load. Like, how does the, I maybe I'm just misremembering, but I feel like the Wii U eShop loaded faster than the Switch eShop did. And that one had music and more character and so on and so forth in it. And we don't get that on the Switch. We just get left rectangle with text, right box with pictures. And it's just so sluggish. In a world where like so many of us are so used to the instant gratification of, I click a button on my phone and whatever I click on, it just opens. It's just there. I don't really have to wait. And on like, I know that the Switch came out in 2017 and the chip inside of it is supposedly from 2015. So we're like 10 years old at this point, but still, like, there are $50, $60 smartphones that run better than that today. I don't know. That's just me rambling. I really like this grip though. Like, as you might be able to tell, I'm a big monochromatic kind of guy. So black and white Switch, sold. Like, and if the only way I can make that happen is by buying a white silicon case or whatever this case is made out of, I think I will probably get that. Our next couple images are actually really fun though, because they are Mario Kart accessories, among other things. So let me make this bigger. So we get a new steering wheel. One of the things that kind of glanced over a little bit when we were looking at the joycons earlier is that you can now see the player icon from the front of it instead of it being off to the, like, on the inside of the rail, which I think is really cool. And these really just intense triggers for the SL, SR buttons. I love it. And I know these things have existed, but I've never used one of these. I'm gonna see if I can move this over, because I think on the video it is cutting off. Actually, let's see. I don't want to do this. Let's see if I can just zoom out here. I realize it's cutting off part of that image. If I can move it over. Anyway, hopefully this is better. But yeah, pretty much just like another little grip. And I think with the size of the Joy-Con being bigger, it kind of makes me feel like it's about the same size as like holding an NES controller. Maybe it was slightly bigger. So maybe that works out better. For, again, people with fat hands like myself. These are probably gonna be way overpriced, as were the original ones. And they're probably not worth it unless you're only going to be buying Joy-Cons for your system. If you're not planning on buying a Pro controller, I don't know how much utility you're going to get out of this. Which, speaking of, no one's leaked a Pro controller, which is the most bumming part about this whole experience. Because I am 100% a Pro controller guy. I will buy 2 of them when the system comes out. And there's not one. So either they're not doing one because the Switch 1 Pro controller will still work, and they're just like, screw it, we're not making enhancements to it. Or somehow that one piece of hardware is the best kept secret of the entire Switch 2. I don't know. I would love for them to make a new one though, because I love my Switch Pro controller, but it's starting to show its age, and I would prefer to, I'm trying to wait to see if they're going to release another new one before I just drop, how much are they, $60 on a new controller. All right, and then the last image I got, same thing, but colors, because I feel like there was a lot of this on the regular Switch. Oops, wrong way. This image is not zooming in. Okay. Anyway, this image is not zooming in. So we have a red, blue, and green Joy-Con wheel. And again, like, I don't know why everyone's using white Joy-Cons for this. Like, when that's like, I don't even think that's a thing. Like, I think it's just black. Unless there is a white SKU, in which case I am all about it. But yeah, this type of color thing was something very popular with the Wii. So, shoot, I don't know. It's, again, people will buy the crap out of this. I don't see the utility of it necessarily, but everyone's different. Okay, I want to go back to this. This is going to be my little placeholder image while I talk about the rest of this junk that I've got going on, even though nothing wants to work on my computer. Let's try... Well, I don't know what's happening. Apparently, after all this time, I still have yet to figure out how to operate a computer. It's fine. Anyway, this is all I got. So we've talked about confirmed things. We've talked about all of our leaks. I believe the only thing left that we haven't talked about leak-wise was that, let's see, 60-watt fast charging cable included with the system. I want cyan, green, and aquamarine blue Joy-Con. Absolutely. Like, that's like the same color as like the Animal Crossing system, I think. And that was a really good color scheme. It also reminds me of Tears of the Kingdom too. They had a lot of teal and light blue stuff going on there. Back to kind of the powers of the system. Digital Foundry, they put out a video talking about like the power of the Switch 2. Again, they said that it was like PS4 level, but yeah, okay, just checking. Expect 1080p handheld gaming with upscaled 4K while docked, and they suggest that current gen titles targeting 60 frames per second will find their way to Switch 2, likely running at 30, which I'm fine with. I just need 30. I don't need my game that says that it's 30 frames per second running at 12 with the worst pop-in anyone could ever see. I just want, because when I think of my Nintendo Switch, I don't think of it as like my go-to, I'm going to play every game on this system, right? My Nintendo system, for the most part, is for playing Nintendo games. I've got a gaming computer. I've got a PS5. I don't need this to be overkill, essentially. I'm not planning on playing GTA 6 on this guy. But, like, we'll talk about games here in a second, but, like, let's just say that the new 3D Mario game comes out, and, like, yeah, we're targeting 4K 30 or whatever, and it comes out and it runs like Cyberpunk when it first came out. It's not going to make it very far. But hopefully, Digital Foundry is pretty much on brand with this stuff, so hopefully that they're pretty accurate with that, and Nintendo can kind of just get it together. At least with Pokemon. I put a lot of hours into Pokemon, and it blows my mind that as bad as Violet runs, I've put over 200 hours in that game. Suggested retail price, anywhere from $400 to $500. I'm leaning towards $450. I'm just going to hit it right in the middle. I would love for them to say, yeah, this is $400. Excuse me. And then be like, oh yeah, and for $500 you can get an OLED. Like, I would pay the extra $100 for the OLED one, because again, Switch OLED, other than it maybe just being a little too tiny, is kind of like a peak Nintendo handheld, in my opinion. And that it's going to be a real rough time going back from an OLED screen back to an LCD. But we all know that. Why do we trust Digital Foundry? They seem pessimistic about the Switch 2. I'm only taking stock in what they say because they seem to know more about it than I do. I would love for them to be wrong. I want it to be more powerful. I think that'd be cool. But they are pretty accurate when it comes to tech and stuff like that. They do a lot of research, more than I'm willing to commit to it. So if the tech gurus say something, maybe they're wrong. That people have been wrong before, but like I think that they're probably going to be a lot more accurate than some random 4chan user saying, "Yeah, it's going to be 8K PS5 Pro." You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing an example out there. But I would like for them to be underselling it a little bit, because you think like the system itself may be just PS4 level, but depending on how much of this AI upscaling stuff that's going on, it could be way more powerful. I don't know if you guys pay attention to like the Nvidia stuff that they were showing off yesterday, but they were showing off their new like RTX 5000 graphics cards. And in a video that I saw, they took like, a standard, I'd say like mid-tier gaming computer can probably at this point scrape by running Cyberpunk at like, I don't know, 40 to 60 frames per second. You shove a 4090 in it and it hits like 120. And then they showed them putting a 5090 in it, which, to their credit, that is a $2,000 graphics card. But it was like 240 frames in this game that, 4 years ago, nothing could run it unless you had like the most mainline computer that was out there. So if Nvidia has found a way to cram some of that technology inside of this new system, maybe games are targeting 30 but are able to hit 60, and suddenly it's on par with like PS4 Pro, maybe a little bit higher. Because a lot of stuff that we had seen before I took a break was that like handheld was PS4, regular PS4, excuse me. And then the docked version was Xbox Series S. I don't know. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they just don't have their facts straight or something. But I would like for it to have a little more power. But like I said, this is a Nintendo console. They always underpower it. And I only need this system to play Nintendo games. I don't need it to be anything super crazy. Like, I mean, a handheld PS4 is still really good. Especially if it comes in at $400, If it's like $500, like, well, I don't know. Yeah, so $400 to $500. No new talk about storage. I expect it to be 256. I can't see them doing anything lower than that. And still expect it to be released sometime by the end of March to early April. I think it'd be wild if Nintendo said, "Oh yeah, we actually meant we were not going to talk about this until the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of March." Like I feel like we're close, but I've also said I feel like we're close. Let's see. The Switch came out in 2017. There were rumors of a Switch Pro in 2018. And then the Switch OLED came out in 2021, right? I think. So, I mean, at least 3 years, going on 4 years, but like, yeah, this is it. We're getting close to them showing off the new system. And we're still here wishful thinking about it. Y'all are hanging out with me in a YouTube video talking about something we've been talking about, or I at least have been talking about for going on 7 years now. Last thing I really got, and this is kind of like throwing this out to you guys, just to see what you guys think. Rumored launch games. Everyone thinks the new 3D Mario, whether it's Mario Odyssey 2 or something completely different, is going to be there at the beginning, as well as a new Mario Kart 9, which, please. I've been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or Mario Kart 8 in some fashion, for 10, almost 11 years. Like, I'm ready. I'm so ready for a new Mario Kart game. I can't stand it. And then people were all talking about, since the Switch 2 leaks really kicked up, Breath of the Wild remaster is going to be there. Maybe not at launch. That'd be weird to launch your system with a remaster of the game that launched your last system. But it'll be there at some point, I'm assuming at least. And then we really don't have like a lot of rumored games. It's so baffling to me that in a generation where games leaked early, whether it's before they were announced or physically leaked because people were stealing them off of trucks weeks in advance or however they were getting their hands on them. The one thing we don't know about the Switch 2 in any capacity is games. We know everything else about this system for the most part, except for what that pesky little C button is that I'm referring to as chat button for now. Other than that, it's actually mind-boggling to me. So rumor games, I mean, these are just games Nintendo has coming up that we know about that are more than likely going to be there. Metroid Prime 4 and Call of Duty Black Ops 6, or just whatever this year's Call of Duty game is. One, if not both of those will be there because they did sign a 10-year deal with Microsoft to put Call of Duty games on future Nintendo hardware. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's all I've got. I'm going to take just a second to get caught up on chat, and then if you guys have anything else you want to talk about or any other games you think might show up, let's hear it. Let's see. Dash says, I think this system will be very capable. I wonder if Nintendo would allow for mouse control in games like Metroid Prime or Splatoon. I mean, it's possible. I mean, think about it. They allowed gyro controls, which I feel like may or may not require more effort than doing regular just like pointer controls. But you kind of, well, no, I was going to say it falls in like a category of like mouse and keyboard players playing video games with controller gamers, but it really wouldn't. But it's just going to be weird because I can't really replicate this on camera, but I'm holding my right Joy-Con in my hand like I hold a mouse. And I'm trying to figure out like what I would do with my left hand while I'm doing this, unless it's like you just hold it normally and you just have your regular control stick and you're just moving around and then you just use your right Joy-Con as the mouse. It'd be a very interesting setup because you think about it, like it is a home console, right? So not everyone's going to be sitting like in a position to where they could take advantage of it, I guess, unless they were, I think someone mentioned it in chat earlier about like sitting at like playing in tabletop mode. Like how many, let's be real, how many people actually play in tabletop mode? I don't really know, but unless we're using, use the other Joy-Con as a WASD. Interesting. I'm going to replicate this with my hands. Sorry that you won't be able to see this, but I'm just really curious. So I'm holding my right Joy-Con in my hand like a mouse, and I got my left one here doing the WASD, which I guess you could still, yeah, you can do it with either the directional buttons or you could do the thumbstick. That's like some Wii Zapper type stuff. Like, let me just slot my controllers in like a gun and just go nuts with it. It would be a massive improvement of what tabletop mode is right now. It would be. Like, maybe that's when they're like looking at like R&D for the system, they're like, how are people playing the Switch? Like, well, they're playing it handheld, they're playing it on the TV, but no one's really just kicking their Switch up and just playing games. Unless it's like, when, you know, like when 1-2 Switch first came out, that was like the game to show off everything. So of course you were kind of like, oh, let me just try this with every single type of way you can play it. And maybe like in a break room at lunch or something, I would do it, but not like, it's not like my go-to method with it. So that would be interesting if they decided to do it that way. Other than, I mean, we've talked about everything new, and the only thing that's not in this video that's been brought up before is about the new SD cards that give it like faster read-write speeds that are coming out. I think they came out the end of last year. I've never actually checked to see what the pricing is on that stuff, but if they're priced comparatively to everything else we've got out, I mean, they're probably be 150 to 200 bucks just for more memory on there, which I think they started at $256, and there was also a 1 terabyte for like $300. So it's one of those things where you got to start saving your money now. What's going on, Hootspa? Glad to have you here. yeah, it's like one of those things where like you got to start like saving your money now because you're talking in the next possibly 2 to 3 months, like you've got a $400 to $500 system. Not to mention that the games are all probably going to be $70 games. You might need a case. You might need extra controllers, steering wheels, controller grips, everything. And then yeah, we're talking like external memory and everything like that. It's gonna be expensive when all this finally comes out. So y'all make sure you got your wallets ready. Oh my goodness. Well, I've pretty much exhausted everything that I wanted to make sure I got brought up in this video. If no one else has got anything they would like to ask or chip in about, I'll probably go ahead and cut this off so I can get to editing it to make it a little more of a viewer-friendly experience for our non-YouTube friends. What's going on, Hootspa? But I really appreciate everyone coming out and joining the chat. Thank you guys for sticking around, and even though through my hiatus, hopefully we'll be able to have a consistent schedule going forward. I did want to bring this up because in the 2 months that I've been gone, I held up 3 fingers, but 2 months that I've been gone, there were a bunch of Nintendo Switch releases that came out that I didn't cover because 2 of them, I'm going to get so much heat for this, I feel like. 2 of them I'm going to, like, I just didn't care for. And it sucks because I really wanted to. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I think it's a very charming game. Just not a game for me. I tried and tried and tried. Just couldn't get that taken. Couldn't figure it out. Just didn't want to keep playing it. And Mario and Luigi Brothership. That game, I was so excited for that game. And I played it for 45 minutes and just couldn't take it anymore. It's just... those games, I don't know how to describe it other than I just feel like those games have just kind of lost their charm on me a little bit. It could have been because the first 15 minutes of that game, it was just Mario shouting Luigi. And the older I get, I just didn't have patience for it. I don't know. I hope at some point I'm going to be able to make us go back to it, give it another chance. Maybe I'll have different opinions on it, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now. But Mario Party Jamboree, S-tier Mario Party game, so much fun to play with friends. And they should definitely continue down that track going forward. And while I'm talking about Nintendo releases, probably won't be covering Donkey Kong Country Returns because that game has been out twice already. And maybe just hit up the new features, but it looks like it's just a port with a fresh coat of paint over it. And it's $60 if I'm not mistaken. So probably won't be dropping $60 on that game. But anyway, which game was good? Mario Party? I agree. Mario and Luigi? I'll take your word on it. Yeah, I was going to say, it's one of those things where, like, not really in this particular case, I guess, but if you look at, like, the grander scheme of things, like, if I came out and was like, yeah, I don't really care for Metaphor Refantatio or whatever it's called, probably gonna get yelled at over it. And don't get me wrong, I've never played it. It's not a game that I like to play, so don't come at me for saying that. I was just making a joke. I know there's probably some Persona / Atlas fans in here, and I was just being funny. But I mean, you think about it though, like after Donkey Kong, like there's nothing left, right? Like that's pretty much the last thing on Nintendo's release schedule. Let me see here. Put a little image back up here. Nintendo games coming in 2025. Oh, there's also a Xenoblade Chronicles X port that's coming soon too. But if you think about it, they've only got 4 games that are like major Nintendo games. Oh, well, excuse me, I forgot. We cannot leave out Hello Kitty Island Adventure. We can't leave. That's not a Nintendo game though, but and Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. But I mean, yeah, it's, you know, of course, like everything just looks so like bleak because there's nothing coming out because everyone's just saving all their announcements for Switch 2 stuff. So who knows how it's actually going to go. I'm going to real quick before I turn this off, just in case I don't want to be that guy that misses it. I'm going to go to Nintendo's Twitter, and I'm just going to double check and make sure they didn't announce anything while we've been sitting here chit-chatting, because that's the last thing any of us want to see. We just forget it. Nope. As of right now, nothing new. But anyway, that'll do it for this live video. Thank you guys again for tuning in, coming to hang out. I've missed talking to you guys and sharing Nintendo news with you and being just very passionate about this system that I love so much. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you soon with more Nintendo content. Bye for now.